Jujutsu Kaisen, Episode 3. Freaking hype. I've said that about the last episode, but so far it's just getting better. One thing that really stands out to me for this episode, and I'm sure you've heard it all over the place already, is the companionship that it kind of is reminiscent of from the original Team 7 OG Naruto. You have the comparisons people making already, Megumi is Sasuke, Gojo is Kakashi, Itadori is Naruto, and Kusaragi is like Sakura, but better. I agree with most of that. I do have a different take on Itadori, but I will get to that later. So, first up, the episode did answer, at least for right now, one concern that I did have about the overall story. I had previously said that I was unsure how they could do the story if it was about Itadori going and collecting all of Sukuna's fingers and, eating them and, go just like, hey, get all these fingers together, become Sukuna, and then we'll kill you. So you're kind of on parole until then. And it's kind of like, that'd be cool if it was like the story was already over, or, kind of like with Assassination Classroom and Demon Slayer, where it's like the story isn't too terribly long, so, it could wrap it up. But with this, it's kind of like 10 fingers or 20 fingers is not a lot. Even if you did like a finger every other episode or every 3 episodes and had like filler curses or other little missions to do in between, then it still wouldn't be a terribly long story, I don't think. The manga's at like 130 something chapters right now. And the difference between this and what happened with Demon Slayer, because with Demon Slayer, it's like, hey, this is the main villain. We got to beat these other guys to get the main villain, and so forth. That while Demon Slayer is the hottest freaking thing on the planet right now in the anime and manga world, this Jujutsu Kaisen has reached an abnormal amount of popularity way before Demon Slayer did, in terms of where it's at in its life cycle. Because once Demon Slayer was in its final arc, everybody was jumping, which was right around the time the anime had come out, everybody was jumping on the bandwagon with it and freaking loved that shit now. So it was a little bit, I guess, difficult for Shueisha to jump in and say, hey, keep writing, and I understand those personal problems that were going on and stuff, but with Jujutsu Kaisen, it had nearly 8 million copies of the manga sold before the anime even debuted. And that number is going to now skyrocket, which was way sooner than what even Demon Slayer was doing in My Hero Academia. So I expect that to skyrocket out the door, which, brings me to a point that if the story is mainly about them getting the cursed fingers and then executing Itadori after he becomes Sukuna, I could really see Shueisha saying, hey, no. You need to go ahead and start planning some more, because we're bringing in the bread. Demon Slayer is still bringing in bread, but it's not going to be around much longer, and we need you to kind of take that place. So yeah, either that or there is going to be other things to do besides just getting Sukuna, which leads me to the point I initially hinted at here, is that the episode's about this new quote-unquote Team 7 fighting a curse in Tokyo that has nothing to do with Sukuna. So it seems like there's going to be other things to do aside from just hunting down these cursed fingers, and maybe there'll be other cursed objects to find too. And the way I look at it is probably what's going to happen is that as they're getting these cursed fingers of Sukuna, eventually there's going to be a group of villains or a single villain that is so powerful that they're like, hey, you know, we ain't got nobody else that can control Sukuna. This boy and Sukuna are like Naruto and Kubi. They're together now. They can fight now. And we need him to help us fight this bigger threat. And they're either going to stave off the execution and eventually not do it at all, or they'll just straight up say, hey, you help us fight this dude and you can live. That's most likely what will happen. But we will see. Now what I was saying, I was going to hint earlier about Itadori's character, is that, you know, for starters, Gojo, people compare Gojo to Kakashi. But I also see a heavy hint of Jiraiya in that too, with his wacky, off-the-wall, carefree spirit, but with the stern mentorship of Kakashi getting down and dirty when things need to be done right. Megumi still has the Sasuke vibe, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I really liked his, like, yeah, in the first episode he was still laid back and dark and mysterious and cool, but he was a little bit more forward and approachable when he was confronting Itadori about the cursed object, and they had a sense of camaraderie when they went and fought that demon in the school. And at the end of the episode, obviously, you know, he had to throw down because Sukuna had taken over Itadori's body, and he thought he was going to have to exercise him. That was just him doing his job. But now he's just all like, kind of like closed off and kind of brutish and, you know, kind of a dick, honestly. And maybe that's just more of his true personality. Maybe he's a guy that really just likes to work by himself and was just saying, hey, you know, I'll help you out this one time, but we're not friends, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I really liked Megumi when he was like that. But we'll see. I'm sure he'll grow on me if he sticks around, you know. But I'll get to that later because apparently we're losing a main character. And then this new chick, Kugasaki, is the comparison to Sakura Haruno from Naruto, but a billion times better. So that brings me over to Itadori, which naturally everybody, for the most part, is like, hey, you know, since this is like Team 7, this is the new Naruto. And there is that. I will say, there is glimpses of Naruto in him, but he reminds me a lot more of Natsu Dragneel from Fairy Tail. You know, they kind of have a similar face design. They both have the spiky pink hair, but they're both abnormally strong. In the world of Fairy Tail, it's a little bit more explained, you know, it's like, there's wizards and shit, you know, and Natsu is the son of a dragon. But he is still abnormally strong in comparison to most of the people around him. In Jujutsu Kaisen, Itadori is obviously a lot more abnormally strong than your average human. Especially for a Jujutsu sorcerer that doesn't have any real training either. So there's certainly something hidden beneath the layers with him, because he was like this even before he got, you know, beefed up with Sukuna's 2 fingers. You know, pause. But yeah, that's what I'm taking from him. He's a lot more like, he's carefree and goofy and off the walls like Natsu, and strong as hell. But I would say his desire to protect others when shit hits the fan is, while Natsu does have that, I would say that part of his personality is more closely related to that of Naruto. But in the episode, you know, we meet the new third-year student. Not third year, the first-year student. There we go. Named Kusaragi. Kugasaki. We get a little bit of her backstory, where she grew up in the countryside. You know, it didn't show that she had many friends. She always talked to this older girl that moved in from Tokyo, whose name was Sayori. And while she spent a lot of time with her and they got along well, the people around her did not like this girl at all. Which eventually led to Sayori and her family leaving, because the people were like, oh, you know, those city folk, they're all fancy and they they look down on us and they think we're stupid and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, they wound up doing to these people what they accused them of doing, vice versa. You see? And it really draws on the hypocrisy of the world. Which makes me wonder if the author of the original source material actually had some kind of experience like this, because it's something that I could see really hitting home for somebody. But yeah, this causes Kusaragi to say, fuck these people, fuck this town, I'm out of here. And she eventually leaves so she can go to Jujutsu Tech and learn how to be a sorcerer. But she's also says that she's there to find Sayori as well. So maybe this girl is still alive, and I think that'd be a really cool side story as well. And it could have some really tragic undertones too, now that I think about it. Like, not to keep going to the Naruto references here, but like with Obito, Kakashi, and Rin back in the day. Who knows? I mean, I hear that this shit only gets darker, so maybe. But that leads to her coming to Tokyo, and where she meets up with the rest of the group, and then Gojo's like, hey, where did they go to? Roppongi. He's like, let's all go to Roppongi. And since the two goofballs are, because make no mistake, Kusaragi is a goofball in her own right. She's an ice queen and a tsundere, but she a goofball too. And she ends up, her and Itadori are like having their fantasies about what it's like in Roppongi, because it's like the Beverly Hills of Japan and shit. And they get in, Gojo, being the savage that he is, takes them to this abandoned, shitty-ass looking apartment building from, like, the third Grudge movie. And he's like, alright, we're gonna chill, you two cats, y'all get to go and exercise the curse. Oh, man, Gojo, a savage. Love it. Ice cold. But he explains to Megumi that he's here to see, how crazy they really are, because he explains how Itadori is willing to jump into harm's way and fight to protect people, and he wants to see if Kusaragi is what she's willing to go to protect other people, because he mentions how sorcerers eventually fall apart and quit the job when they are faced with an unfathomable choice or their worst fears. And that does indeed happen here, because as they start, Kusasaki's like, nah fam, I don't need you, you go look downstairs and do your thing, and I'm gonna go upstairs and look for this curse. And they split up, and Itadori handles business that he comes across, a curse or whatever, and takes it out. And then it shows Kusaragi in this room with his mannequin dolls. She thinks she finds it, disposes of it real quick, and she's getting ready to leave. And this little kid starts crying, and so she tries to help it out. The kid is apparently scared of her. It's kind of like the running gag here, because she's so evil looking, apparently. But then this ugly motherfucker comes out of the wall and grabs the kid, the curse. And he looks like the fucking little orange eyeball, not orange, the yellow orange, the yellow eyeball guy from Monster Rancher, mixed together with a dwarf from Lord of the Rings, and then placed on a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's what this motherfucker looks like. He ugly as shit, dude. But you gotta hand it to Mappa. The art, especially on the curses and shit, is top notch. They look dope as hell, man. Dark, gritty, but clean at the same time. So when he notices that he can't beat Kusaragi, basically he's like, aight, grabs the kid. It's like, okay, kill me and the kid, or lay down your weapons and let me kill you. And so, she starts thinking logically, and she's like, thinking about a promise she made to Sayori. And she's thinking, like, it would make more sense if I kill this curse here. Even if he kills the kid, I'll live on, and I'll be able to protect other people from other curses. Or if I die, the kid might live, but the curse might still kill the kid. So she's thinking logically that I need to kill the curse regardless. But then she quotes herself that she can't keep her promise, and then she drops her weapons. And so we get to see the real inside of her character. Yeah, she might be Ice Queen on the outside, but on the inside, she really does have a caring spot for the innocent. So, she's standing there getting ready to get killed, and then big ass hole busts open in the wall, and who comes through it? Natsu Dragneel. No, it's Itadori Dragneel. Just saying. But no, Itadori comes through, being a goofball trying to grab. He's like, did I miss it? He comes through and he fucks up the curse and rescues the kid. While the curse jumps out the window. Then Megumi's like, alright, I'll finish this. But then Gojo's like, no, you don't need to. Because then it shows Kugasaki using like this little voodoo doll thing and hammering a spike into it, which kills the curse. And I don't know if this is where the inspiration came from or what, but there is a anime short from one of Junji Ito's works where it was this little kid in a old town who would use these voodoo dolls and stuff, and whatever he did to the dolls would happen to the people that he wanted it to. And so I wonder if maybe that is where the inspiration came from, or maybe an homage to that piece, because a lot of the Junji Ito stuff would work perfectly in a Jujutsu Kaisen world. Demons and spirits and the paranormal fit right at home in this anime. So maybe that was a little Easter egg they put in there, or maybe that was the inspiration for it. I don't know. But speaking upon that, Megumi, a character named Megumi from an anime called Shiki, reminds me a lot of Kugasaki, actually. She dies and gets turned into a vampire, and starts killing people, but she's a badass at it. And one thing she hates the way the people in her town act and the traditions of it. And she just wants to go to the big city and live like a normal person. So, again, I wonder if maybe that was some type of inspiration for Kugasaki. Maybe I'm reaching there. Maybe, maybe it's an homage. Maybe I'm still reaching. But I thought it was neat. I kind of put those two together. So, yeah. But the episode ends with them all goofing off at trying to go figure out where to eat, because Gojo's like, hey, I'll go buy y'all food. And so, Itadori and Kugasaki are arguing about what kinds of sushi to go eat. And this is where I say that Kugasaki is a goofball on her own, right? Because she acts childish sometimes, and, she's like, hey, go get my luggage. But also, I'm going to go eat sushi at this place. It's really funny. I like it. I'm really liking these characters so far. But to what I said earlier about us losing potentially a main character. So, it's the preview episode, or preview clip for episode 4. Where I think it was a juvenile detention center? But if that's the case, these motherfuckers on steroids essentially, because they all look like grown-ass fucking bodybuilders. They pull straight out of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But they're all out in the prison yard, or whatever you want to call it, looking up in the sky at this big old round thing. I'm assuming it's a fetus. I think that's what they said it was. And maybe this is going to show us how curses are born or something. That's going to be an interesting thing to see in the episode for sure. But what I like, and what got me hype as hell, is that it does a little text thing where it's like, on such and such date, 3 first-year students were sent to an emergency situation to exercise a curse or whatever. And then one of them dies. And you're like, what? Hold on. What's going on? We about to kill off a main character? Are you serious right now? Yeah, that is hype. I'm excited. That's how you lead into the next episode. And from what I've heard, people are telling me that's where shit really starts to kick off. So we'll see. I'm super excited. I'm pumped. The only question is, who's going to die? It ain't going to be Gojo. Okay. Only way Gojo would be dying here is if he gets tricked into having to protect one of his students and sacrifices himself. But he would eventually come back because apparently, I know Gojo's apparently still a thing later on. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. But that leaves the 3 other main characters. We just got introduced to Kusaragi. We did get her backstory, so you know, maybe? But, you know, I doubt it because she still has to find Sayori. Then that leaves Megumi, who I think will be the one to die. Will he stay dead? I don't know. But that would be, if you ask me to check right now, that would be the person I would say is going to bite the big one. But what about Itadori? You know, Itadori could die. And since he does have part of Sukuna in him, maybe something happens and he gets like reanimated, or Sukuna takes his body over completely. But since Itadori's spirit is still there, he can take control of it and they can share a space or something. And then that would be a workaround in the plot for, hey, you can't kill Itadori because he's already dead. I don't know. That kind of seems pretty awesome to me, and I'm kind of hoping they go a route like that. That'd be really freaking cool. Because that would give you a perfect reason to go and want to get the other cursed fingers to fight a bigger threat and not have to worry about killing your main character, because it would kind of suck. It's like after we get all the fingers, you know, it's over. Because, hey, we already know the main character's supposed to die. So that could be a cool workaround. We'll see. But yeah, I'd say it's either Itadori or Megumi that's going to bite the big one on this one. What do you guys think? Who do you think's going to bite the big one at the end? Are you getting irritated with everybody giving the Team 7 comparisons? Do you agree that Natsu and Itadori are a lot more similar than he is with Naruto? Kugasaki, my girl, right now, hands down. What about you? Do you think she already best gal? Do you like the episode? Do you like where it's going? Are you hype? Is it living up to your expectations, or, you know, has it faltered in some way? Are you gonna keep watching? You know, let me know what you think. Theories, just whatever you think is gonna happen. Are you excited? I personally can't wait. You know, but yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment, go nuts, and we'll see you for the next episode.